look at the visual of the timeline that is in fact coming to the fore of the series of events that actually took place during this assassination attempt. So, let us go through it visual by visual. We will bring you a breakdown of every video that is in fact coming out from the White House Correspondents Dinner that was in fact being conducted at the Washington Hilton Hotel. So, this is the first video where we can clearly see this is a handheld camera where we can clearly see US President Donald Trump. We have the First Lady, we have other two guests as well, and that is when they hear the shot. They do not know what it is, they hear a loud bang and then the camera zooms out and we see everyone ducking under the table over here. So, this is the first video that we are getting for you to give you a perspective of how it is happening. You can see a lot of those journalists, correspondents, over 2,000 people in attendance over here at the dinner. Then let us move on to this next video that is in fact coming to the fore. You can see that US President Donald Trump is standing there. We have the Secret Service agents rushing in. However, due to the rush, the US President actually stumbles and he falls. This is post the shooting when the US Secret Service actually rushes in. Let us play that again for you viewers, where you can clearly see you can clearly see how we are in fact getting this visuals of Trump stumbling and falling down. Let us look at how the Secret Service personnel are then rushing inside the venue as well. Remember that this is a secure area that we are talking about, and all the security personnel then moved in when this incident occurred. Let us look at some of the angles from the audience. There are shots fired. The attendees are then seen taking cover under the tables. You can get a clear view of the head table over here. The Secret Service personnel all with their guns drawn out, standing over there trying to locate from where the gunshots are being heard. And here is angle one. All of the guests are in fact now taking a cover, are ducking under the table, and they are trying to see where the gunshots are being heard from. So, absolute chaos over here once these gunshots are heard, but these are all journalists. So, we have most of them in fact take out their phones and record this event in order to see what is actually going on. But clearly chaos that has ensued over here. The Secret Service personnel still on the stage trying to detect any kind of movement if possible of the attacker. So, this is angle number one that we are getting for you. We have numerous footage of this dinner from inside the ballroom where this event was in fact being conducted. Everyone is now evacuated. So, the head table had a lot of protectees. They were evacuated in the first sequence itself. When we saw the Secret Service came in, they jumped into action and then they took away all the protectees who were, the Vice President was there, the First Lady was there, we had Pete Hegseth as well, Marco Rubio. Everyone who was present there was taken to safety, and here in the audience everyone is taking safe cover under the tables. Most of them are trying to also move out from the venue, see if it's safe to in fact go over to the other rooms from here. Let us look at angle number two that we have, where shots are being fired. This is from an elevated platform. You can see a lot of people inside over there, round tables, a lot of people moving also, but unfortunately when they hear the gunshots, everyone ducks. They are trying to see what they can do right now. Obviously they are trying to also look at evacuation routes. They are trying to make sure that everyone who is present for the dinner is safe. So, we have all these personnel actually make sure that safety is ensured, and fortunately nobody was injured in this assassination attempt that we actually saw at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. So, these are the visuals that we are getting for you inside the ballroom of Washington Hilton Hotel. Let us look at another footage where we can see the First Lady and Donald Trump being actually escorted out by the Secret Service. So this was also of vital importance. This is the first thing that happened that the Secret Service did. In fact, they took the president and the first lady out into a much more secure area. After this incident, obviously, security has been on high alert post this shooting. This is outside the hotel. You can see that even US President Donald Trump stated that the Metropolitan Police also has been called in for security. The Secret Service is there. They are trying to secure the area. The gunman was in fact captured by the forces as well. Now, this is US President Donald Trump on the move, heading back to the White House after this entire incident actually occurred. And that's his cavalcade motorcade actually moved towards the White House, where he then gave a press briefing about this entire incident. So this happened right after the event started. The gunshots were heard. The president, the first lady were moved to safety. And then over here you can see this sequence where the motor car actually moves towards the White House, and he has left the venue of Washington Hilton Hotel. And obviously a lot of security, everyone moving in a convoy to make sure that the president is in fact safe. So this is the next visual in fact that we are breaking down for you frame by frame, and you can see a lot of people, obviously everyone is aware now of what has happened in the area when the gunshots were being heard, and a lot of people gathered over here to see how the president is being moved to safety. Let's in fact also look at the footage where the suspect was in fact detained. So we have tried to encircle that for you over here. He is down on the floor, he is facing down as well, hands on the back. There are security personnel present over there. They have secured and detained him, and they will obviously follow the next course of investigation going forward. Now, this is the CCTV footage that has been shared by US President Donald Trump. You can in fact see the Secret Service members also in action. They have pulled out their guns. They are rushing towards the intruder. Let's play that again for you so that you can actually see he is entering over here, rushing through the lobby area, trying to enter into the secure area. But that's where all these security forces actually pull out their guns and they are able to in fact nab him. So this is the CCTV that was in fact shared by US President Donald Trump. Also, the president put out a post on social media where he has posted this image of the attacker who has been detained. This was the first footage that we earlier showed you as well. Hands on the back, he's down on the floor and has been detained by the authorities. So clearly we got you that sequence of events that has happened in fact at the White House Correspondents Association dinner at the Washington Hilton. Let me rope in Ambassador Kapoor. Ambassador Kapoor, there are obviously a lot of coincidences that everyone is also talking about. We saw that this was the first time that US President Donald Trump, as a sitting president, was attending this sort of a press dinner that was being organized. Earlier he had boycotted it during his first term, and in 2025 as well he wasn't a big fan of attending because he has this narrative of fake news that was that in fact supported him. Now people are saying that this was a more conciliatory tone that he has been adopting, and this was his first time that he was attending. There were protests outside the venue that was being held, security lapses that have come to the fore. But when we look at this entire picture, the midterm elections are also around the corner. Do you believe that this is something that should be also taken into account, or should we just look at it as a security incident and talk about the lapses that have in fact taken place?
Well, that is of course very important to understand what happened and how to prevent it from happening again in the future. But also, if I have to reflect a little bit from his perspective, from the perspective of the US President President Donald Trump. The midterm elections are due in November. The approval ratings are slipping currently. The prices are increasing. Inflation is rising. If I go to fill up petrol in my car, I have to pay a lot more today. The energy bill, the electricity bill, the grocery bills are all increasing. Shops are closing down. Economy is suffering. People are losing their jobs. So all around, and being a transactional society, for the voters to then either not cast a vote in his support or like abstaining, or to cast a vote against him becomes a little easier for them. So faced with that sort of dinner, I want to now also try to see how to marshal all my forces. So I'm going to also probably try to have an attempt at making up with the media, because so far I've been ignoring the print media, the electronic media, the mainstream media, because of Truth Social, because of my outreach capacities, because of my fan following. But so to open up now new avenues, new channels to get his message across, because with all the international stresses and strains and the Iran war not yet concluding, and the prices going up, the requirement of voter support, etc., is very strong. So that is also one reason that he decided to attend this dinner likely. We'll get to know more about it. Well, now it's going to be scheduled again, rescheduled very soon in the next few weeks, maybe 3, 4 weeks. But the fact of the matter still remains that the very acts of gun violence in his vicinity is something very serious. And whether it's midterm elections or whether it is anything else, nobody should have a right to sort of indulge in this sort of violence. So they will have midterm elections, and things will start becoming clearer in the next few weeks how it is going, how the sand is shifting. So all those analysis will start happening very soon. But this has to be stopped completely. Thank you, Shivani.
Absolutely. In fact, General, in your earlier narrative, you were mentioning how the gun laws have been questioned time and again in a country like the US. We have seen a lot of, in fact, guns and shootouts that are taking place in public areas as well. Do you believe it's time now that the US, in fact, looks at or reviews the gun laws? We earlier had an Indian American who was who is a resident of America, who said that it's for self-defense, and they do not see the Second Amendment as a problem. They see the security breaches as the problem. But do you believe that it's time now that the US should also look at its gun culture?
My individual opinion is certainly that they should look at this gun culture, because they can't go on like that with so many casualties happening every year because of these everybody having a gun. So the that I think that said, I believe there are even people who want to have serious look at this gun laws. They get deterred because of the economic magnitude of the problem, and the industry putting its political weight behind the elected members or behind all the politicians. So I given to understand that even if they want to have a look at it, it is for the reasons of the clout of the arms dealers that they are not being able to look at it. And it's becoming very difficult for any president to ignore that because they account for a major amount of funding of both the parties. So it's not specific to a party or to a president. This pressure has remained over all the presidents and all the parties. So that's one part of it. The second part which I want to highlight is the political narrative. Yes, people may be disagreeing with him, but even if, let's say, hypothetically, somebody was disgruntled against whatever he is doing, uh, when and if he chooses this course of firing at him, he is actually helping that person because a politician, when he is not there, he becomes immortal. Uh, and this is a case which I'm sure US must have realized in Iran. They killed Ayatollah Khomeini, and when they killed him, they must have thought that perhaps Iran will collapse. Iran did not collapse, but Ayatollah Khomeini has become a martyr and will remain so in the history of Iran. So, in case if somebody has to be removed, then it is better that he is democratically defeated by the due democratic process. Then only his footprints and his deeds, which are not appreciable, will perhaps haunt him in the history. But otherwise, anybody who gets assassinated, he will find a place in history to say that, okay, he did a great job or he was doing a great reforms. How great the reforms are for America, which only history will tell. But that's the perhaps a connotation of changing the leadership in a democratic society. But that being said, the fact is that it's a condemnable act. It's an unfortunate event, and it doesn't speak well of the security establishment. It doesn't speak well of the country as well, in the manner in which the repeated attempts have happened. This is the third attempt, as was said, and uh, I think that doesn't speak well of uh, the setup which is entrusted to guard the president.